Hello, yes, this is your girl, Queen of Commentary, and we are back with another video. Today, I came across a post that Sir Latruth had placed on his page, and God just told me to go ahead and address that post and possibly give this young man some support and maybe some guidance in what he should do about the situation. But before we get into it, you know what to do. Thumbs up this video, subscribe if you have not already, cut your notifications on, and leave us a comment. I'm not sure if actually I am sure, he does know about this channel. I remember back maybe a year, maybe 2 years ago, I was doing a live stream, and he did come under my video, and, he did talk, and I think he had some red on, and I was like, "Guy, why do you have these red and this blue on? What's going on?" And, anyway, I think he took a little bit of what I said and he stopped wearing those colors because I said it's kind of making him look like he's from LA in a bad way. Okay. But anyway, and I think I also his girlfriend, I guess, Miss Vivica. We call her Vivica. Y'all know who I'm talking about. She came up under my video too and was talking about monitoring spirits. And after that, I looked that up and I was like, "Hey, what are you trying to say, that I'm a monitoring spirit?" So, that happened. And she came under another video just recently and said, "Hey, he said that wasn't true, that he was talking about whatever." So anyway, these people know about this channel, but this channel is covered by God. I come from a place of love and correction. Love and correction helped me out. That's why I'm still here. That's why I'm able to do what I'm doing. That's why I feel like I was chosen to mix this Latruth saga and put God in it, because God is literally in everything we do. He's in everything. People try to separate it, but no, God is in everything. He is the one who gives us the energy, the strength, the know-how to do what we're doing. And so to Sir Latruth, he has given you all of your tools, all of your gifts, all of your skills that you're able to go on the camera with your daughter and make this daddy-daughter content. I know you're a proud dad. You have the same smile my father had with me when I was around her age, that nice little closed mouth smile with that beard. My father had a beard as well, and he was so proud of his daughter. He would take me around and say, "Hey, who does she look like?" Because he knew I looked just like him. He was such a proud father. I didn't get that same thing from my mom. My mom was the custodial parent. She always had me. She was tired. She was working. But when I got with my father, I always had fun because he was the fun parent, because he didn't have all the, and I don't mean this in a shady way, he did not have all the responsibility. He just had the proud moments of having his daughter with him and things like that, And me as an adult now, I understand. My father could do no wrong. I was definitely a daddy's girl. And sir, your daughter, Miss Caroline, is definitely a daddy's girl. She is, she lights up like a light bulb when she's with you. That is just natural. That is that natural thing that us young girls have about our dad. If we are blessed enough to have our father in our lives, we're just proud to be with the daddy, because mom has a job to grow us up, raise us up to become young women, especially single moms. I came from a home of single mom. My mom raised me for 13 years, and unfortunately I feel like single parenting caused her to go a little sooner, because it was stressful on her and she was not realistic on how hard it was. She should have brought my father back in her life, made him be more of a dad, so it wouldn't be so hard on her. But us women, we tend to want to take on everything because we feel like we know everything, and sometimes it just does not work out that way. Okay, all right, so with that being said, let's go over and look at the post that I saw, and we are going to read it. And I am going to analyze it and hopefully give Sir Latruth and whomever else who is listening some encouragement, because that's what it's all about. This man needs encouragement. We always talking about Miss Brittany, but what about the guy? What about the father? Moms always have all the attention. Mother's Day is like pandemonium. Father's Day is not. Okay, Father's Day, you better look at your calendar, because if you don't, you'll miss it. No one celebrates fathers. Nobody. Like, the father wasn't there when the baby was made. When you have a dad there and he's trying, he may not be perfect. He may not be giving all the money that you want him to give and all that. Unfortunately, the mothers mixed the fact that the relationship did not work. So therefore, I am going to block my child from seeing their dad, which is the worst thing you can do, because good fathers are needed. In this situation, the good father is being looked at as, oh, he's this, that, and the other. But yet she is around, Miss Caroline is around the grandfather who has such a horrible, whether it's true, whether he was convicted or not, he has all that against him on his record, which is poor, right? The little girl should not be around situations like that. And the fact that is, big up, if you will. And then she has this, her children around her new boyfriend, which I heard that has a mixed lifestyle. Wow. You know what I mean? What's going on? There's so many things that are going on in this storyline. I see, this is what it says. I see some of the slick remarks being made about my daddy-daughter content. First and foremost, Robert. You should not be doing daddy-daughter content to get the approval of the people. Let's get that straight. That is why people are saying that you are using the little girl for content and views and things like that. Who cares? Back in 1986, we didn't have, cell phones. We didn't have internet. We didn't have all this access to the world. My father was a father because he loved being a father. He might have not knew how to be a father monetarily because he was young and things like that. But he was a father. He didn't have to prove to anybody that he was a father. I remember days of us walking to 7-Eleven, walking and getting some hot dogs and getting some M&Ms and getting some juice. And those were the best days. Our days were Sunday. I got one day with my father, a week. And that was something that my parents actually got within themselves. There was no courts involved. My mother did not want to send him to court because it would just make everything horrible. And she didn't want to do that. You know what I mean? She wanted to have some type of, what y'all would call co-parenting. That word wasn't around, I don't think, back then, 40 years ago. But she wanted to have, a good co-parenting relationship with my dad. So I remember those. I don't have any pictures or videos of that. But I remember that, and I'm in my 40s. So you say that you want to make this content so they'll have it for the rest of their lives. But no, have some of those daddy moments need to be off camera so your daughter doesn't feel like, because the devil's always going to be around, from the beginning of time. The enemy whispered in Eve's ear and said, you know what? God just doesn't want you to know what he knows. So go ahead and eat that apple so you know the difference between good and evil. And we ain't been right since. So the enemy, Sir Latruth, is going to whisper in your daughter's ear and say, your dad just used you for money, likes, and comments. He just used you. And she would have to have her own stability, mentally, physically, and spiritually, to say, no, my dad loved me, and he did not just use me. No, that's not it. So have those times and be clear to her that why are we always on camera? Do you want her to be a content creator? Do you want her to be out in the spotlight? If you do, I hope you are training her in the way that she should go. I hope you are preparing her for people to say what they want to say about her and things like that. Side note, I'm glad that you got her hair done. I'm glad that is a part of her self-care, because right now she can't care for herself. It is the parents' responsibility to do so. So I'm so glad that you got her hair done. Me being a hairstylist and cosmetologist, I know that one thing about getting your hair done is if you look good, you feel good. You know what I'm saying? And looking good helps the morale of the people. I love to have my hair done. I love to help other people get their hair done and just see that transformation happen. And so we sure do see the transformation from her having the silly twist to having the beautiful braids with the beads. Okay? That is awesome. Okay, so I see some of the slick remarks being made about my daddy-daughter content, and honestly, it just makes me feel sad for those who never got to experience a real loving relationship with their father. Well, I got to experience a real life love relationship with my father, and some of the things I don't agree with. Like I said, the only thing I see that I want to get better is I want the little girl to start sitting in a seat all the time. She's too old. She has seen too much, been through too much to sit on the lap. I want to see her always look like a lady. I do not want her to jump up in the sky and do a split. Those little things, I'm going to tell you, I don't like, even though she did that with the mom, that was not Sir Latruth. But I'm going to tell you, hey, there's certain things I don't like. And I've had a relationship. So just because somebody may criticize what you do does not mean that they didn't have it. In fact, maybe that's why they're saying what they're saying, because they did have it and they know how things are supposed to be done. One thing we have to understand as human beings is as long as we live, we're gonna have people criticize us. You have to learn how to take criticism, righteous judgment. Why? Because it's going to help your life go by smoother. Okay? And honestly, it just makes me feel sad for those who never got to experience a real father. What I share isn't for clout or attention. Well, when we go online, that is exactly what we want. We want people to pay attention to our posts. We do want likes and we do want shares. That is what, so if you don't want clout or attention, and or attention is not a bad thing. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what you do. You are a content creator. We can't get mad people who are getting angry at the fact that Sir Latruth is sharing his daughter on camera. We can't get mad at a content creator for creating content. That's what he does. But just don't overdo it. Don't oversaturate it, because she is young. You're putting her face on camera in front of a lot of people. You don't know who's watching, a lot of strangers. You have to protect your children. Parents, that is your job, to protect your child. So when you put her on camera, she doesn't have any control because you're the parent. You're basically opening her to a whole world that you don't even know. You guys see each other, but you don't see me watching. You don't see who else is watching. You don't see that people are jealous. You don't see people are, wanting to basically take you down, and they're hating on you and things like that. So I hope in Jesus' name, Sir Latruth, that you have a relationship with God, that you are praying to God to protect you and your daughter while you're making content. And when you hit that post button, that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. I pray that you have a relationship with him. And if you don't have a true relationship with God, I pray that you get saved. I pray that you let Jesus into your heart, not just him, me, and anybody who is listening to this. I pray that you guys open your hearts to let him in, because God is just waiting. He's not going to bogart himself into your life. He's not going to force you, because he gives us what? Free will. And so you can make better decisions when it comes to your daddy-daughter content. Okay? All right. So he said it's not for clout. To show what healthy father-daughter love should look like. What healthy father-daughter love should look like is not just you doing the mermaid thing. I did the mermaid filter too, but I want to look up, why is that going around? What does that mean? Mermaids are not of God, and things like that. So I that was a whisper in my head, like, you be careful about that mermaid stuff, because we don't know. But that's not healthy. That doesn't mark a healthy relationship, because you're doing different dances and doing different filters and things like that. The healthy relationship is the fact that she is a young lady, whether she's in your presence or not. She is well kept. She has her education. You're making sure that she is talking and functioning well. You feed her, knowledge. You feed her nutritious food daily. You talk to her. You make sure she knows, the difference between right and wrong. You make sure that she's not talking to strangers. You make sure that, you know exactly what's going on in her mom's home, that you stay connected. That is the mark of a good father-daughter relationship. The way she acts when you're not there marks her parenting, Sir Latruth. So I don't want you to get caught up in the glitz and glam and the fame of the camera. The camera, you know how they say the camera puts on 10 pounds? The camera also shows a lot of holes and things that you do. People look at you and they hear what you're saying, but they're saying, wait a minute, they don't live this way. Wait a minute, that little girl is tired. Wait a minute, you made her say that. I heard on somebody's live that Sir Latruth had his daughter, begging for cash apps. I didn't see it for myself, but she was just talking about it in a horrible way, and I'm like, oh gosh, so that's not a good look. Don't have that little girl, say, hey, give my daddy cash. I don't know. I didn't see the footage, so I can't really talk about it, but just hearing about it, it's like, yeah, you really did bend over in a watermelon patch, Sir Latruth. It's like you're using your daughter to get some money. We all know, like, I'm a content creator. My husband we talk about it, if you want to make a good video, you have babies or dogs. Babies and animals make for a great, everyone shares it, everyone loves it, everyone engages with it. We should know as content creators what engages people, and babies and animals are one of them. And so if you have a young little girl, just her smiling, and her people are going to just like, oh, here you go. They're going to open their pockets a little bit more because the child is right there. So, just be careful of that. I know some people didn't grow up with that, and I truly understand how that can create mixed emotions. Yeah. But instead of tearing it down, try seeing it as hope that these bonds can exist and do exist. I post this kind of content to uplift, not to trigger. Much love to those healing from what they didn't receive growing up. Now, this was full of shade. It was full of what we call passive aggressiveness, Sir Latruth. You do things every day to trigger people. This is your way of basically keeping yourself composed and not cussing people out. Now, I see that. This was not full of love. This was full of shade. This was like, you wanted to say, you know what I mean? Come on, I could see that. Because people, like I said, just because someone is saying that they don't like it, or they're saying, it's not saying that they didn't have their dad in their life. Now, some people did not have their father in their lives. But some people did have their dad in their lives, and they know what a healthy relationship is. I didn't have internet. My father didn't have cameras, and I had a healthy relationship with my father until I was 40 or 39 years old. Okay? And so that's my memory. And now I know catch up, this is not 80s, this is not the 90s. We get it. We are in the internet age. We are in the content creating age. But don't make it unhealthy where the only time every time you have a daddy-daughter moment, you have to get your camera out. Because obviously, yes, somebody is going to think you're using your daughter for clout, engagement, and money and fame. You can be a part of the daddy gang and not even be on camera. There are a lot of good dads out here that are not filming every moment. They're working and they're getting their children on the weekends, and they're taking them to the parks, and they're taking them to the movies, and they're not grabbing their camera to record that, because you don't have to. That's what I want to hear you say. Look, I get on camera because I'm a content creator, but best believe my daughter and I have our daddy-daughter moments off camera as well. I'm a dad in real life. I'm just here to spread love and spread that there are some good fathers out here. But don't get it twisted. We out when the camera is off, that's when my real job starts. That's how I want to hear you talk, Sir Latruth. This isn't the first time that you've addressed people. Look, everybody doesn't want to see daddy-daughter content. That is not how it started, however long ago, when you became this big LA truth. Okay? Everybody doesn't like family content. I don't know how the content started when you first came out, but now they're like, okay, it's family content. Everyone's not going to like what you do. Everybody's not going to like your music. Everyone's not going to like your vibe. It is what it is. Do you think you're above Jesus the Christ? Do you think you're above God? Everybody didn't do what God said. Everybody didn't like Jesus. Everybody did not like everything. So get over it. If you really are a dad, if you really love your daughter, then who gives a darn what people say about your content? At the end of the day, it's content, right? But you're a dad 100% of the time. You make a 2-minute video, that's not your daddy-daughter life, is it? It shouldn't be. Okay? That little girl should be getting good breakfast. That little girl you should be taking to the zoo. And those things should not always be recorded. If you are a true celebrity and you want to be in the Celebrityville, then you need to become a little bit more, less approachable or less visible. Your time with your daughter is your time with your daughter. You know, put some content up there because that's your job, but that's it. Don't make a big deal out of it because there's people out here that's purposely trying to make you look bad. But in my opinion, nobody can make you look bad. You make yourself look bad. You get what I'm saying? I get what you're doing. You're a proud dad. Okay. You know, sometimes I like to see the footage. Sometimes I'm like, okay, it's getting a little too much because I'm like, I'm going into mode of, is the little girl being worked too much? Is the little girl having bright lights in her face? That's not good for her eyes. I'm a holistic person, so I'm like, the bright lights in her face is not good. Her having to perform and eat at the same time is not good for her digestion. You get what I'm saying? You know, the little girl, I think, needs glasses. You should put a little bit of more tinted glasses on her so them lights don't ruin her. She is still growing. Okay, you don't want her to have skin problems later. You don't want her to have eye problems later. You don't want her to have any kind of problems physically, mentally, and spiritually because she's been in the camera all of her life. I mean, didn't we see about Michael Jackson and how he said, you know, have you seen my childhood? I mean, being on camera, having to perform from a little girl or a little boy is taxing on the body because they're in performance mode, but they're not, you know, maturing and they're not properly developing. You have to think about all of that. You get what I'm saying? And in the real Hollywood, a child can't even be in a camera or, you know, more than an X amount of times or days or hours. You have to look into that. So you are her dad. You are kind of her manager because it looks like that's what you're doing. You're managing her career. She's going to be on camera one day, right? But she's never going to be like her dad. You know, because she's going to be her own person. And however that is, we just don't know how that's going to end up because both of the parents are just all into the camera because they don't know how to turn it off. That's your job, but that should not be your full life. Okay, now this video may not go down, you know, it may look a little bit disciplinary and a little bit preachy, and I'm not on my high horse. I'm coming from love here. I hope this helps you out, Sir Latruth, or whomever in his camp, and whomever else is listening. Look, if you guys agree with me, great. If you don't, great. Let me know in the comments. What do you guys think about this topic? You know? Should Sir Latruth have his daughter on camera all the time? Should he show all his daddy-daughter times? Be clear, Sir Latruth. Say, look, I have daddy-daughter times off camera. In fact, most of my daddy-daughter times are when the camera is not on. Put that out there. Let people know, okay? Tell the truth. Shame the devil. Be clear. Okay, because right now it's a little blurred lines now. Because the more you're on camera, I'm gonna think that your only daddy-daughter time is on camera, and no, that's not gonna be memorable. She is going to hate the camera when she gets older. Oh, my dad had me on camera all the darn time. Every time I went over there, he had the camera, he had the lights, camera, action. As soon as I got in the house, the lights were already set up. He would tell me to come over, sit on this chair, and smile, and say, "Daddy, daddy, daddy, got my hair done." Come on now, you don't want this little girl when she my age to resent the camera and become very, very recluse and to herself because she was forced to be inside in the camera all day. Okay, research what being on camera young does to children, Sir Latruth. That's what that cell phone is for. It's not just for you to record. It's for you to have information so you can really be a good dad and put her first. Yes, you're a content creator. You chose to do that. Your child did not. Let her become the woman that she's supposed to become and the young lady that she is supposed to become. If that's what she wants to do, great. But she's too young to make any decisions right now. That's all you. Think about what you do before you do it and understand the pros and the cons, and that's everyone's not going to agree. And when you place that little girl on camera, make sure everything is on the up and up because the devil's watching too. You trying to get custody? You better be careful because the enemy is watching. And may God cover you. And may God cover us all. And thank you so much for listening to this video. I will see you next time.